Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Dmitro Savchenko, and here's the first version of the podcast, which is called Thoughtful Age. And we're going to talk here about how can we lead with balance and succeed with purpose. He's a former head of mobile at Reface. He's a prominent engineer and engineering leader for a long time. And I would let him introduce himself. And Aleksey, could you please tell us about Reface and about your background and give us an introduction about yourself?
Hi, Dmitro, and thanks for having me. My name is Aleksey Gutyro, and as Dmitro said, I was head of mobile at Reface. It's a Ukrainian-based startup where the whole company was concentrated on building AI content creation tools and doing it for these days, for nowadays. I led a team of 34 engineers, which I'm really proud of. And I would be glad to share my experience of what we have achieved and what kind of team we've built there.
Nice. Yeah, thank you for joining us today. And today's topic is engineering your way to product success, the power of a product management mindset. So the product management mindset is like the essential thing for every engineer who is striving to do the best at his place. And what is the product mindset and why every engineer should consider embracing it?
It's a great question. So I think a product mindset, in terms of from the developer perspective, has a lot in common with product-led organization. And I would like to say a few words about what is product-led organization and why it's important to be this kind of organization nowadays, and then describe what product mindset is. So product-led organization, in a few words, is organization. It's a kind of structure of an organization that directs all their ideas, all their efforts to bring value to the user and to try to bring each initiative in a company should bring some value to the user. It's the main idea of product-led organization. And from that perspective, product mindset for engineers is the idea of taking user as main target, as a main objective of everything you are building. Let's say you are building a feature and you are not thinking just about what kind of architecture are you using. You are thinking about end value for the user. That's what product mindset for me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and especially we've seen a lot of examples in the markets when the people are just building something for themselves, not considering users at all, not considering user experience, and what is the most important, what kind of value it brings to the table, and what kind of pain and what kind of particular problem at hand it could solve for the user of that software.
Okay, yes, nice. It's really common problem for, I would say, tech founders, because they used to think more about code, about technology, and less about the user, and what value brings to the user. But in our very competitive market right now, I think it's really important to think about users, and companies who will do that will win the market and succeed, and others will probably end up nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense. Okay, let's move on then. And if we are talking about the product mindset in terms of engineering role and in terms of positions and in terms of majority of the software developers, what are the most important skills that engineer can bring to the table while working with product managers?
Okay. So technical expertise, obviously, it's the first thing I think technical guys should bring to the table. Also, they are the only people who knows like better than others about how actually product is built under the hood. So what architecture it's using, boards, pros and cons of that architecture, and all tooling they have. And I think the most important thing is to bring and to gain sometimes is communication skills, because the biggest problem I think technical guys are facing right now, and probably were facing before, is talking product language or business language, because we as developers used to talk developers language, because basically that's people we are talking usually. We are talking to developers, we are reviewing code, we are leaving comments and thinking, just how good our code is. And to communicate well to product managers, we need to change a little bit how we communicate, and like to change what we are talking about, because these like common things for us just not understandable like sometimes for many of product managers. Like it's really cool when your product manager has technical background. It's really amazing, and you understand each other, and you can get well better. Oh my god, I forgot. So you can be really cool, but if your product manager does not have technical background, what will you do then? How you will push like some tech debt? They will always want product features, and you want tech debt. How to solve that kind of problem? So this is where communication skills come into game.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it's very common for the engineer to be focused on the code and like not having the proper experience, and not even having the proper willingness to talk to other people using the language that they would understand. Not only like using some technical terms like pull requests, pull request review, like all this CI/CD process, or some like OOP principle or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And to your mind, how the engineer develop a product mindset? Because like it's not everyone who would be willing to become a product manager, who would be willing to go to the management career path. But nevertheless, what are those things? What are the strategies that you can suggest and you can come up with to the engineer to develop some of those skills?
Okay, sure. So I think first of all, like product management skills and understanding how product development works is not the thing that needed just for product managers. As I mentioned before, like being putting user in the center of like everything is not really common in our industry, because like IT industry is changing so rapidly, and we have to keep up with that, and to change our mindset to fit into current market and like demand. And that's why I think we are changing so slowly. I mean, like we still, reading some fundamental books about programming written in 80s, 90s. It's great. I mean, it's great book. I don't want to challenge them. I also read them, and yeah, I would say it's great. But I think back then was a bit different situation. Like if we take 80s and 90s, most of the companies were focused on building sales department more than building tech department. I mean, like sales were driven the company. Now more and more companies are becoming product oriented and product driven. So it means that you put user on the center of everything. And like, why did companies do that? Why did they draw sales, and engineers did their job, like writing code, coming up with amazing architectures and all that stuff? Because they had this model. It's called vertical, I think, like vertical something. So we were into vertical. Like each company has its number of products that they sell, like license for. For example, Adobe, they used to sell license for different products of them, like Illustrator, Photoshop, and others. It was really easy to, like, let's say they sold Photoshop to one company, and they will probably sell Illustrator to that company again and again and again and again. So they have to. Their main goal was to acquire a company, like to get it into a client, state of a client, and upsell them other products. And they had contracts for years, and it was really good. I mean, like, sales driven, everything was really cool, and engineers could focus on building their stuff. And now we have like more horizontal approach, where you don't have this kind of upsell and all that stuff. I mean, you still have, but you don't rely on that. You build multiple products, and you build small products that solve really small features, small problems, and sell it to the users. And you have to do this product as well as you could to acquire users and to make users stick to your product, because like there's so much other products. Because you can see we see that no code solutions are developing really fast, and you can bring your product to the market really fast. So, and this means that we are having more and more similar products. So you have to stand out somehow, and where this is where product mindset comes into game, and like the product-led organization and all that stuff. So getting back to the question, sorry for like this long path.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah.
I think that to make companies successful nowadays, it's really important for everyone to put user and to put customer in the center of your decision making, like, and to think about customer each time you make a decision. If this, new code architecture brings something new to your customer, I mean, like not just something new, but something better. What makes the customer stay with you for a longer time or pay you more money? That's why I think we should all have this product mindset and to develop it. How I started doing it, I was really interested in building startups and not in becoming product manager, but to build my own startup. And I started to listen to different product podcasts, because I knew that only with technologies I had, like Swift, Objective-C, Kotlin, and others, I couldn't build my company. Obviously, I need sales, I need marketing and all that stuff, copyright,
finances,
yeah, obviously, of course. So I was thinking like where I can get all this knowledges of what I need, what bricks I need to build my own company. So I started to listen to product podcasts. Like, it's basically podcasts where different professionals from product field discuss how they build big companies like Stripe, Amazon, Google, etc. So, and like each episode is about some small part of how they do business, and to gain some overview in general how company is built. You need to gather a lot of different bricks, a lot of different components of this, and to put it together. So my way was to listen to product podcasts, and I was really worried about losing my competence as developer, because I was thinking like, okay, now I'm listening really a lot to these podcasts, but I'm not consuming some technical related stuff. But my technology is developing really fast. Like Swift is back then Swift was updating like every year. We were getting new APIs, and it was really it's still really competitive field. You have to really keep up to stand on the same place. So my approach was to mix. I was trying to be more conscious about what type of content I am consuming. So basically, we are all consuming some kind of content, work-related content. So I was trying to leverage that thing. So I decided to go like this. It's obvious to me. It was obvious to me too that I consume programming content like by reading. It's not really possible. It was not really possible, but now it's more possible to consume, because there are really a lot of different programming content that I couldn't even dream about. But
so
you usually. Huh?
What do you usually read? Like, is there any website or email subscription, or what is it?
It's email subscriptions mostly, because I used to read Medium, but then it became not so. It lost its quality, I would say. I mean, like articles there. Well, I remember I once tried to read, back to the roots. I was trying to dive deeper into architectures and like define what's the difference between MVC, like model view controller, and MVP. And I was reading all these articles on Medium, and it was like so much of really bad quality articles about how this works. And I was thinking, oh my God, these guys know even more less than I do. Like, why should I read to them? So that was a point where I switched to newsletters and that kind of stuff. Now I'm reading like mostly high level overview of what's going on in iOS, what's going on Android, and like other mobile stuff, and a lot about what's going on in business. To do that, I subscribe to like Lenny's newsletter. It's really great newsletter, and Lenny really does his thing with bringing really world class professionals, and like they discuss really cool things that I would probably couldn't find somewhere else. So podcast was my way to understand how product works. And getting back to the point that I was reading I was reading content about programming, and I was listening to content about product. So wherever I commute, like drive or working out at the gym, I was listening to product podcasts. And after a year maybe, I started understanding more and more, and I was I would say qualified enough to challenge some product decisions and to discuss them, go to analytics, take some data, bring it to the table, and challenge. It was really interesting. I really liked that, and I don't know if it's it's kind of if there is kind of university of podcast university of product management, but if it would, I would graduate from it.
Yeah, there are a few courses online as well. I know I've met some on Coursera, on Udemy, so there are plenty of this kind of stuff as well. Like you mentioned, Lenny podcast, that sounds interesting. Do you have any others in your mind that you can share as well?
Yeah, I have like two more. There is a podcast from Andreessen Horowitz fund. So you can Google it. It's like, I don't think it's like some kind of separate name. So basically a 16 that podcast or something. And there is one more podcast called Acquired. They talk a lot about product, and I really liked what topics are discussed there. So these three I would really recommend.
What challenges do you mind that engineers face while talking to product managers, and how can they overcome them? Any tactics, strategies, and approaches?
Okay, so I think like there are a lot of challenges engineers face like talking to products, but I think there is one fundamental challenge that if you solve it, everything else is just few more steps to go, because this one is really big, and I think it takes really some time and some courage to build. So it's basically about how you communicate, how you as engineer communicate initiatives, can communicate problems, because usually we communicate like we need to update some framework to another framework, and like product managers has nothing to do with like what kind of framework, what it brings to user, like what's the matter of this idea and why you should spend 3 weeks on this. Like, but we could build some feature or even like multiple features during that time. So I think like if engineers we would embrace like the way to speak product language in terms of like I think there are two ways, like most simple ways to talk to products is in terms of financial metrics of the product or in terms of customer metrics of the product. So every initiative you want to bring to the table and negotiate, its priority, always try to shape it and to, take what metrics for the product it will change, put it from a customer metrics perspective. It could be acquisition, retention, customer lifetime value. So everything you want to change, you want to build, think about it. What value to the user in terms of in terms of product it could bring, if it can make customer lifetime value more, like if you can sell more products, like more subscriptions, or it should bring retention. Like it's always kind of a hypothesis. Like you never know like what kind of how much retentions it brings to you, but you always make an assumption. You could do it like using analytics. You can take some examples from past, look at what that experiments brought to the product, and come up with a new idea.
Nice. Like we don't want to build something for our own satisfaction, but we also
actually this is a great point.
Yeah, we always want to consider the users and our business goal of our organization in general.
Yeah, developers to do the stuff just for their own satisfaction. And I think it's what really holds a lot of cool developers from developing their career, from bringing their career to another level. Because not only, but you will probably promote it if you think about product or business more. Or like if you think about like what kind of new fancy architecture you wanted to bring to the project to try on, and then abandon and leave to another company, and by getting 500 or like 1K a month more. I mean, I think it's a cool idea, but it's really short term planning, and that's why I think you should think about, really like what value to the product you could bring.
Yeah, but nevertheless, like, if you're not enjoying your current job, if you're not enjoying what you do at this current moment, maybe like you just need to consider doing something else or doing something differently. So it's kind of a matter of finding the proper place and the proper balance and everything what you do.
Yeah, I think it's really a place for another great topic, like how to choose companies and how to choose companies to stay there for years, not for months. This is really
enjoy working there, and
like
not forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to do, but just like doing the stuff that brings you joy and fulfillment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what all of us want, like to get joy and fulfillment from what you are like. You are spending most of your day doing this stuff. Like, you should probably enjoy it. And I didn't mention the last thing that I really think it's really important and really easy to take into account and to develop. It's to align with all your initiative with North Star metric. Like, almost each company has its North Star metric, and what is it? It's the main metric of the company, like which everyone's are aligned to, and like everyone should push limits to grow this metric. So it could be like, let's say, number of transactions or in some payment company, or for example at Reface, at some point of time we had the number of refaces done by the user. We were measuring how much refaces user does, and it was really easy to align to that metric. For example, we had like in the flow of Reface, you have like kind of 3 steps. You choose the content, you choose the face you want to put on that piece of content, and then you are like getting a result. So it's result screen. And we had this result screen for like months, I think even for years. And it was really clumsy and not really extendable. And we wanted to refactor it. And we were like seeking for ability to do that. And like, since our North Star metric was to make a user do as much refaces as that they could, it was really a good point to propose some rework. So we come up with the idea like of having more content on the result screen. So let's say you see your result, and you also have some kind of recommendation below, like on YouTube or like any other platform. And we came up with this idea, and we proposed to like rework this screen and to add this section with recommendations. And it was really a great opportunity to refactor that screen. So that's kind of our assumption was that this recommendation should bring more refaces. And since it was like a North Star metric, it was, it really became top 1 priority very fast.
Yeah, makes sense. Like, I like the idea of the North Star metric, which could be a great tool to like measure everything what you're doing, like let you focus on the important things and just not to waste time on something that could be not relevant at all. And but still, like, moving forward, and I have another question, like probably on the similar topic, and it might be relevant to that North Star metric as well. And the question is, how would you balance the need to work on the tech debt on the project and the functional requirements that are coming from the product manager? Is there a way of applying this North Star metric to this discussion as well?
Oh, I love this question. It's like, I think it's kind of like holy war, like continuous holy war and continuous problem of a lot of engineering leaders, how to deal with tech debt by still providing some product value, by still adding it. North Star metric is definitely could be applied here. I mean, like if you could find a way to put your tech debt and to find that piece of tech debt that really could increase your North Star metric, I mean, could add some value there. Yeah, you can always go with that, and you could be sure that it would be probably like the most the highest priority, and it would be easy. But if you would do it always like that, I mean, like I think this tech debt will bring more, like increase our North Star metric. I mean, I think nobody will trust you after some attempts. So I think you should probably come up with another way to do that. And I think the core problem with tech debt, with prioritizing tech debt over features, is by dividing initiatives in the wrong way. So we used to divide like in like this binary way, like there's product features and tech debt. What always product wants? Features. What product don't want? Tech debt. Because like what kind of value it brings to the user? Like it's last time you worked on tech debt, and I didn't see any results. So why should I prioritize it? So I think this is where you could come up with a bit different perspective on these initiatives. So my idea, it's not actually my idea. I think I read about it at some point of time, and that's how we started shaping our work at Reface. We started to divide it into three Categories. Yeah, thank you. 3 categories. So it's basically product work, or like product features, you call it as you want. It's scale work and risk work. Product work is obvious. For instance, I won't stop here, but let's dive deeper in what scale work is and what is risk work. So scale work is about delivering the same level of quality to more users. So let's say you have features that is used by, feature adoption is like 5% of your users. What if like feature adoption became 10 or 20%? Like will your infrastructure, will your code could handle that? So and I would say there are a lot of tech debt could be put in this category, and you would probably solve like a lot of your problem that has lasted forever in this part. And risk work, it's a bit boring, I would say. Risk work, it's about compliance and some legal stuff.
Security.
Security. I mean, security not always boring, but legal compliance from my perspective.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
So, like putting it this way will really help you to, you basically don't have a tech debt category in here, and if you would start thinking about this way, you could, you could change your mindset. You can change, and I think that actually product technical leaders, ones who has to start this, to start thinking this way, and then to show their teams how it could work, how it could be shaped, and then they could keep up with this. And by having these categories, you can easily prove to the product what's the value this or that tech debt. I mean, like it could be tech debt, but if it influences, like if it affect how your features could work, like I mean, availability time or whatever, product will understand you better. If you start doing it like this, you will definitely find some common ground, and it would be really easier to move forward with your tech debt. What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely makes sense. And ultimately, it's just like slightly changing of the language is allowing you to better communicate what you're going to do and convince the business parts of the organization to buy in whatever your idea is, if like you'll just communicate it properly. It's like coming back to the beginning of our conversation.
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely. I agree.
Okay, makes sense. And if we're talking about that already, how would you like prioritize this kind of work, non-functional requirements like security, compliance, or quality, or if we want to improve our SLAs, and what are this framework that allows us to like make the decision what is more important at this moment, whether improving SLAs or implementing some business feature?
I think it's always boils down to how, like as you actually told 1 minute ago, like it boils down to how you communicate that. So if you find the right words, if you find the right arguments to put this work and to explain it to product leaders, to business leaders, and to talk their language. I mean, the only thing that you have to start doing is, to put yourself in their shoes and to start talking like they do. Like maybe you should hang out with them more, like go out for coffee, discuss what problems they face and all that stuff. And
going for drinks might be more efficient than going to a coffee.
Absolutely. I mean, like drinks is ultimate way to get to know someone and to get to know their problems. So by doing that, you could really develop your skill of communicating your technical problems in a proper way, in a proper language. And it's still challenging. I mean, like I don't say it's easy, because it requires and it demands some flexibility of your mind, because we are really we are really slow in changing our behavior. I think we have really this lag, and we have to put some efforts on that, and by starting like small, as I mentioned, to start to listen to product podcasts, start reading business books. I mean, like not how to build successful business, but to read books about how actually like some people already did that. For example, what kind of books I read recently? Hard Things About Hard Things, or like something like that by Ben Horowitz.
I was just about to mention that as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, like it brought so much understanding and so much how
clarity.
it's called? Yeah, clarity, but also empathy to CEOs and founders of the business, because reading how hard it was for Ben to run the businesses, like as far as I remember, it was 8 years of constant struggle, and it's crazy. I'm thinking like, wow, like how it's even possible to, not to have bright days, like almost. You always have to fight some problem. You have always to survive, and that was really crazy. Another good book is, oh my God, how it's called? Like something about paranoids. How Andy was running Intel on really harsh years when the business started changing a lot. I mentioned some takeaways from that book today, and it's really amazing how what kind of perspective it gives to a business. So yeah, getting back to your question, my recommendation is, to tackle the skill of communication, to get to know business better, to get to know product better, and there won't be much problems communicating your needs. I mean, like SLA, security or compliance to business, if you know how to say their way. And you, as I mentioned before, you could always put most of this work into risk work, what was third category that I mentioned before. So like compliance or security, it's definitely a good place for risk work. And I used to see how these kind of things are prioritized like lower, but sometimes it needs to be more flexible, and sometimes to bring more people to your side and to argue for you, to vouch for you, because you could always talk to architect or like some other executive or CTO, for example, about security issues you have, and help them shape it and communicate to product managers or engineer managers, whoever you have to communicate.
Yeah, makes sense. Communication is the key, as always, and you're just not coming to the meeting and saying, "Oh, we're gonna do that." Like, you talk to people. You talk to people a lot, individually, here and there, on different occasions and different forums, and then come up with some decision that will satisfy the majority of the people and the whole group in general. And talking about the changes that you mentioned as well, that people are not that fast when it comes to changing their behavior, their perception of different situations of the world as well. And could you please tell us about your own experience? When did you realize that just working with the code and like talking engineering language to everyone is not that efficient, and you can do better and you can do more if you'll start embracing some of those changes?
It was kind of like that. I came to my first job as iOS developer, and it was like maybe third or fourth month, and I came to my manager and told him, like, developing stuff is cool and all, but how I can become a manager? I want to be a team leader. And that's actually where this whole story started, I would say, because he told me to basically, like, in other words, as I understand now, he told me to tackle communication skills, and that's where it started. I started seeking for some courses, how I can develop this skill, basically, how I can talk to different people and to discuss different things, sometimes even which I'm not aware about. And this is cool, but it takes some time. It took me maybe 3 or 4 years to develop this skill. I mean, quite good to move on and to try managerial roles. But it's my case. Maybe your listeners are more.
Apparently, it always starts with the right question, like, but how? Like, what should I do to get there? And what are the things that I need to work on? And yes, like, I've heard that for several times from different people, that if you want to advance in your career, you just look at the position higher above you and try to consider what are those skills that those people have, but I don't, and how can I improve them? And then just chasing any opportunity to improve that's something that you don't possess right now, but like obviously can pick it up ultimately.
Yeah, it's a brilliant advice. Ask people questions. How did they got where they are? Like, ask managers, ask CTOs, like whoever you want, and just don't be afraid to look ridiculous. I mean, they also were at your position at some point of time. And
people just helping. Yeah, exactly. People just love share their experience, helping others advance.
Ask someone question and just.
What are the emerging trends in product management that engineers should be aware of, and how they can stay up to date with the latest industry development?
It's a product management, but I think I'm still quite far from it, from being professional there. But I can share what I listen to, what I'm looking into right now, and what I see. So as I see trends, there are really a lot information about how to grow product based on community, like how to build communities, how to promote your product in social networks like TikTok, Instagram. And this brings some opportunities to a lot of products to implement some sharing features. Like, for example, let's take Spotify's wrap up, or like how they call this feature, when at the end of the year they make recap of what you have listened to. Are you a user of Spotify or not?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So they have this really cool feature. It looks like kind of stories in Instagram, and they basically wraps everything, like what you listened to during this year, and they are looking for what you've listened most, what interesting about your music tastes. For example, I really remember this very clear, that I was in top 1 or top 2% of fans of one band. So I listened to them so much time, so I became top 2% fans of them, and it's really cool. I mean, it really forces me to share this somewhere, and this is where a lot of opportunities are. And this is a trend, I would say, to look into. There are a lot of people talking about this. For example, Gary Vee, Lenny talks about it sometimes in different podcasts, and it's about how to promote your product without investing too much money into marketing, or investing more effectively. So I would say this is what I can see as trends, but also this is in kind of not emerging, but already lasting trend about data-driven approach to product. So, and I would really recommend every developer to know more about product metrics and how to track them, how they are connected to what you are doing, what you are building. We at Reface, we had these boards. We used amplitude, and we had boards with different metrics for different purposes. And we had a board for engineers where you could look into engineering related metrics. And it's really cool to understand how affects what you build on metrics. So that's probably trends.
Okay. So we're almost at time, and just wanted to appreciate you coming here to the podcast today, sharing your thoughts. That was very interesting conversation, and have all the best. And if you have any last advice to our listeners, please share.
Everyone, but it's kind of my approach to developing my career. I always trying to seek opportunities. I always trying to be T-shaped person, which means I always trying to go broader, to know, for example, like backend better, to know DevOps stuff, and to understand it just a little bit. to get some knowledge in there, like to talk to some people who can, explain how it works. And this is really helps me develop in my career. I'm sure it could be really bad advice for those who want to go deeper in some specific domain. I mean, I just wanted to say that, but I think if you work in product companies and especially in startups, it could be really good advice. That's it. And thanks for having me, Dmitro. And it was really amazing talk. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Aleksey, for sharing your knowledge and experience. And it was Aleksey Gutyro, the prominent leader and engineer. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.